All right, welcome back, everyone, to Conquering Conversations, the podcast where we help cultivate the next generation of conquerors. Part two, hopefully you joined us for part one of our conversation with Beth Aune, Desert OT for Kids, helping us conquer those emotional meltdown moments with our kids and giving us practical helps in the household to just bring more peace and order to our families. So part two, a lot more to share. She's got a lot more wisdom for us. So thank you for joining. I'm Kirk Scott. I'm co-head of school and hosting these episodes. So thanks for joining in and enjoy the second part of our conversation with Beth Aune. That we took away, when you were working with us wasn't so much, our strategies weren't so much in the moment. It was just setting our household up in some structure and some routine that we didn't even think about.
Right.
That was the big aha. It wasn't, the moments stopped when we put in routines and habits and structures.
Right.
That was the big parent enforcement. We weren't enforcing our kids to have better behavior. We were enforcing a different way of life in our household, and the byproduct was more peace, more harmony.
Right.
So what are some of your go-to strategies to help families kind of get their household, quote unquote, back in order?
Right. So I think that the danger is when we're putting Band-Aids on the stuff at the top, and we're stemming the blood flow, and it might work temporarily, but then another spurt is going to be coming out, right? So even when I work in the schools too, we have you have to have that foundational stuff in place first before you can use these more discreet little tips and little strategies. So the physical environment is one of the first things that we look at. The physical environment, if you're upset because your kids are coming home and they're just dumping their backpack somewhere, well, do they have a designated place for that backpack to go? Is it efficient? Is it clear? Is it probably best place right inside the door on a hook? So, from a motor standpoint, all they have to do is stick in a hook. Or do you have little cubbies, or do you have what are the visual reminders in your house of what that expectation is? So, visual order is important. Visual order, visual peace is important. Not everyone is a perfect housekeeper. We understand that, but you do want to try to keep things as uncluttered as possible. But you want to set up your physical environment so it's efficient, and you want to set up your routines so that's efficient. So again, this is just creating this habit. Think about car keys. How many people do you know are running around because they can't find their car keys? Well, it's because they don't have a designated place to put their car keys every time they come home. The people that come home and have the little dish inside, and boom, they put their car keys there. Or if I want to remember to take something and put something in my car while I'm thinking about it, I'll go put it in my car, or I'll put it by the back door so I have to trip over it, so I don't forget it. So I think sometimes parents as adults, we have a lot of these things that we've done with our environment and our habits and our routines, but we've been doing them for so long we don't even realize why we did it and what worked for us. So then when we're trying to help our kids, it's a little difficult. So we have to ask ourselves, what kind of organizational things do I have in my house? Where am I putting things? Oh my goodness, maybe my kid needs that. I think it's important to include the kids in the plan, when it comes to organizing materials, or we might say this is a great place for your backpack, and then 3 out of 4 of your kids say, no, we think we should put it here. Oh, okay. Yeah, we're going to hear you on that. So I think the physical environment is important, that it has that structure and it has everything set up clearly and visually, so that we're not having to yap and nag. I think that's important. The next thing that we look at is routines. routines and habits. Do we have established routines in our household? Okay, so people are busy. Not everybody has routines, but kids cry out for structure and routine. That's why so many of our parents sometimes, they'll come to the school and they'll say, oh my gosh, my kid's just this nightmare. And then the teacher's like, he's an angel.
Right.
My goodness, I don't have any problem at all. Well, it's because
there's routines in that classroom.
Routines in that classroom, and those routines are set up. And kids, everyone thrives in routines. We don't realize that we have routines, but take away your morning coffee or your morning shower or whatever you do to start your day, you're going to be disrupted.
Yep.
Okay? So we also need to, when we're looking at those routines and that structure, we also want to make sure that we are creating enough time to make sure that we can actually do these routines and structure, and don't overcomplicate it so that we're cramming too many things in there.
No, that was really the light bulb for us, and you'll be happy to know that even to this day, we have a 23, a 21, 17, 16. We still have our hooks up inside the door with, so it just, even when our kids come home from college or whatever, they walk in the front door, they put their stuff in the same spot they did when they were 4.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's just so nice, too, as parents, and we don't have to be telling our kids what to do all the time. And that, I hear that so much, from the parent's perspective, oh my gosh, I have to nag them about starting their homework, or I have to nag them about getting into the shower, or coming to the table when it's dinner time. Moms especially feel like all I do is just yap, 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 nag my kids, and no one likes that. And then, but from the kids' standpoint, the kids are telling me sometimes, I know how to do it. Like, Mom's she's like jumping in and telling me what to do, and I already know how to do it. So, because we can get into that habit of anticipating this kid's not going to do it.
Yes.
And then we can be prompting our kids when they don't even need prompting. So I think that's important to kind of step back and realize, wait, maybe I just need to slow down a second and just see, is my kid already doing what they're supposed to be doing here? Or where is he putting his stuff all the time? Maybe that's his spot.
Yeah.
Maybe my spot wasn't the right spot, but is he putting his things there? Is he remembering to take it and put it in the car when he leaves? Okay, that's his spot. Let's create that spot.
Yeah. And also, like, what I found was kids, they want to show us adults that they can do it.
Yep.
That's the cry of their heart. Like, I even tell my wife this, like, I don't mind doing the dishes. I just hate it when you tell me to do the dishes.
Exactly.
Like, I have no problem doing the dishes because I like a clean kitchen too. So, but I want to show that that's a gift. I want to just free will, of my own free will, give to my household. But then the second it's a requirement, nope, can't do it. It's just that human fallen nature in us, and how much more for our 5-year-olds. And but you helped us really spell out for our kids what is being ready for school, and because we'd never.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? Like, what are the steps?
Right. Exactly. And I think that's sometimes that's what parents don't communicate to their kids very clearly, and because we're coming from an adult standpoint, we have this picture in our head of what we're asking our kids to do. So, we can say to them, go clean your room. Well, what does that mean? Go clean your room. And we might be thinking, just pick up all the dirty clothes. And then the kid will come back and say, well, yeah, I cleaned up my room because they brought a cup back into the kitchen. I think that we need to be very specific, but we also need to kind of like demonstrate and model, what does this mean? And then find out, does my kid really understand what it is that I'm asking of them? Because otherwise it's like, well, they're just not listening. Well, okay, maybe they heard you, but did they understand what that expectation is? So, the term of you need to listen. Well, what does that mean? How many times do you think a kid, be a good listener? How many times have you heard that?
Yeah.
Parents drop their kids off at school. They say, be a good listener. You know, what does that mean? Be a
Like I
good
can't
listener.
turn my ears up anymore.
What
Like,
does that mean?
yeah.
Like, you know, we need to be specific. You know, sometimes it's you need to obey me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, use the word obey.
Right.
This is a time I need you to obey me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you're that kind of a parent and that's the way your household, that's kind of the language that you use, it's individual, but
Yep.
if that's important to your family, then that's what you say. And then listen could also be follow directions. I need you, so why can't we just say I need you to follow the directions?
And these are the directions.
Or listen can be I need your attention. I need you to stop what you're doing, shift your attention from this video game or this book or whatever it is that you're doing, and I need you to hear what I am saying. So I think so much of this can be front loaded if we use more specific language. The nice thing about this too, I think, is it makes parents more intentional about what it is that they're actually even asking.
Yes, that's what we learned. We assumed a lot.
Yes.
We, as parents, we assumed that our kids just knew what was in our head.
Yes.
And we never took the time.
Yes.
And it was just, again, like, duh,
Yes.
it was this aha. We're like, well, yeah, we never really
Yeah.
spelled out, like, these are the 6, 7 things that
Right.
have to get done
Yeah.
before we can leave the house or whatever,
Right.
whatever it is. The other big helpful thing that I don't know, I really took from was really kind of like, I know this is huge for kids that are on the spectrum, you know, the trouble with transitions.
Yes.
But
Yes.
that kind of mindset, even though it's so essential for those on the spectrum, it's huge for those that aren't
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
And so that was kind of our physical environment, setting that up, and then understanding how much kids just in general struggle to transition from one thing to the
huge.
next.
Yes.
Where are the pitfalls there for us?
Oh yeah, that's huge. That's huge. And I think that the biggest mistake that we make as parents and professionals, teachers, therapists even, is we have a tendency to talk to the back of the kid's head. We have a tendency to start to give them an instruction when they're just really not in a state to hear us. So again, or yelling from across from the kitchen and expecting your kid, and we can't even see what it is that our kid is doing. You know, so attention shifting, that's a developmental thing too. Some of us can shift our attention very easily from one thing to another, and multitask and that kind of thing. And there's differences in the male brain and the female brain with that as well. But I think with children especially, if we realize that attention shifting and terminating and transitioning is challenging, we have to know that it's going to be challenging. So setting a timer can be helpful, you know, especially like say your kid's in a video game or something, and then we come in, we need to like bam bam, and they're like no.
And the video game's designed to suck their their attention, and it's designed not to transition out of.
Right. So I think, you know, making sure that we have enough time built into our day to be able to help with these transitions is important. So if we've got too many things packed into our day, and we're running all over the place and we're overscheduled, then that termination transition time just naturally gets narrower and narrower and narrower. And then all of a sudden it's like, hurry up, we need to go right now. We're late. And then all of a sudden everybody's upset. So again, looking at our routines and our structure, do we have too much going on in our day? Are we overscheduled? Yeah, pretty much.
The modern family,
typically. Modern family's very overscheduled. You know, we've got, you've got kids that you have school, and then you have homework, and then they have all these extracurriculars. Well, do they really need to be in dance and soccer? And do we need 3 things every season?
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing to our kids? And then, we're in this big rush, and you're throwing a Pop-Tart in the back seat, and you have the other one doing homework. I mean, just the whole energy of this whole situation is not conducive to a calm, happy home.
Yes, no, we're definitely can be guilty of all that. So I think one of big things that I see as I work with parents is that dynamic of every parent wants to have this amazing relationship
Yep.
with their child, which of course, like, and sometimes there can be fear of addressing, poor behavior,
Yeah.
strong-willed behavior as being a hindrance to a good relationship.
Right.
How do you help parents?
Right.
I see that where it's like, you just got to
Yeah.
say no to the kid, but they're
Right.
so afraid because they're like, wow, but
Yeah.
we
You
want
don't
this.
want the kid mad at you.
Exactly.
Or, yeah, well, we're not we're not our children's friend.
Mm-hmm.
We're the parent, and we can put loving boundaries, and kids are really, they honestly, they cry out for loving boundaries. And you can see on that flip side, so if we have a very authoritarian, because I said so, don't ask me, don't negotiate,
Right.
I'm not going to give you the reason because I said so, that we know that doesn't really work real well.
Right.
But then you have the flip side of the tentative parent, and they're afraid of upsetting their children, or they're afraid of that meltdown.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's like the walking on eggshells.
Yep.
And the tiptoeing around the kid, and then this kid has all of these concerning behaviors. Well, that's anxiety based behavior. When kids start really acting out like that, they're really crying out to this parent on, look, I need you to be the grown up here. I need you to give me some boundaries and to give me some structure. And, it's not about our kids liking us. We love our children. Your children love you.
Yeah.
It's not about that. It's about turning this emotional side off a little bit on yourself, and turning on the analytical thinking side. Because if we react emotionally, then even teachers, I've had teachers say, I don't know why he's doing this to me. And I'm thinking, it's not doing it to you.
Yes,
Like,
right.
don't take this personally.
Right.
But we take it personally because we put so much effort into establishing these relationships. And then I'll have a parent say, I give, and he doesn't give me anything back. And I think that's a huge thing. We want to have happy relationships with our kids. But again, we want to look at, what can we do in the course of our day, in the natural routine of our day, to get what we need as parents? We want to have that connection with our children. How can we schedule that in our day? So if it's a nighttime thing where you're laying in their bed and you're reading a book, kids don't need a lot.
Right.
Kids don't need a lot. I don't know if you've heard about the love languages. Yeah. Well, when we do analyze the love languages for most of our kids, I'd say 9 out of 10 kids pick quality time.
Wow.
They don't pick gifts.
Right.
Words of affirmation is kind of important too,
Yes.
but not as important. But almost all of them pick quality time. And when I'm talking about quality time, that doesn't mean we have to go to Disneyland.
Right.
That just means
Something
maybe
simple.
I'm gonna go walk the dog with my mom. So we look at what's happening in the course of your day, and we don't want to have to add things to parents' plate, but we want to say, okay, look at the course of your day. Is there a time in your day that you're kind of already spending time with that kid? Can you take that time and make that your relationship piece? And I think it's important for kids to hear from parents what they need from them too. We have our emotional needs. We're setting that tone to be able to say, it's okay to say what I need from you from a relationship standpoint. I need you to sit with me. I just want you to watch a silly TV show with me.
Yeah. And
and get off your phone.
and
Parents.
just
Yeah.
reframing things
Yeah.
that you already are maybe attempting to do with your children, like, hey, I need you to help me pick out the ingredients at the grocery store for dinner tonight. I'm not quite sure which ingredients, and I'm going to need your help to, and quality time, and I get to help.
Yes, you would be shocked. Kids love to be helpers, like you said. They love to be a piece of it, and they don't like to be told what to do all the time.
Instead of get in the car, we're going to the grocery store.
Let's partner with them, so maybe, and also just even from an academic standpoint, you're working on literacy and reading and executive functioning and a checklist. Do you have a list? Can your kid carry the list, and can you check it off, and can you teach your kid, hey, you can go over there and get it and come back to me? They don't have to be like right here, but you look in the grocery stores and kids are not helping their parents.
No,
they're not. My kids used to love to unload the cart and put it on the conveyor belt. Well, it kept them busy. It kept their hands busy, and that was their job. And then the other one would go around and they would help put them in the bags, and then they help carry the bags. You would be shocked about how many kids aren't even doing that. And I think parents are so busy that they're not even recognizing there's so many things that my kids could be doing in the home environment to make them feel part of something. And then you're
the quality time is there.
The quality time is already there, and then so it's words of affirmation. You're going to say, oh my goodness, thank you so much. I couldn't have done this. It was so much easier with you carrying that in. It's very regulatory also for kids to be able to carry heavy bags in, to help unload and put things where they belong.
Yes. No, that was huge. That was huge for us. Our sensory processor needed to be lifting heavy things a lot, and it just helps so much. Let's transition a little bit just to kind of classroom. Let's say the behaviors are showing up in the classroom, and the parent is just sick of getting the email notifications from the teacher. Like, things at home are okay, but it's just the classroom is the issue, and the parents are just like, I need my child to be able to go to school without me having to have to parent there too, and what are the best ways for parents to come alongside the classroom?
Right. Yeah, that's a tough one too. But even as teachers, I think, speaking to teachers too, I think adults, parents, I think we have to recognize what our hot button is sometimes, and just take a good look at ourselves. Like, mine's whining. So if a kid is whiny, immediately I'm just like, ugh, and there's just, and I have this emotional reaction to this kid, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, like, okay, so I have to put my armor on and realize, okay, don't react, just so. And I think as educators, we also have to kind of look at, like, what is it about this kid's behavior that's bothering you? Is it disrupting the rest of the classroom? Is it taking too much of your time? I think that you really have to kind of analyze why you're, as a teacher, having this reaction to this child. I think, some of the things that are in the classroom now, they're okay, but like there's class dojos, for instance. That's a very common thing that you're seeing. Well, sometimes I see those used as a threat. Hey, I'm telling your mom.
Negative dojo or whatever.
I'm going to get my dojo out. I'm going to tell your mom. And then, and then you have some kids that are just like, well, I'm already in trouble. I might as well, like, really be in trouble. You have some kids that do that. Other kids react okay. And I think that we have to, like, help that kid see that we're on the same team. So, we're Team Johnny. We're Team Johnny here. Teacher and parents. We're not even though you're here in my care during the school day, and you're here in your care during the school day, we're partners. We're partners together to help you be the best Johnny that you can be. So I think that if we get into the habit of reporting to the parents, and, oh, he's doing this, and he didn't do this, and he didn't do this, and he didn't do that, then right away that partnership thing isn't being demonstrated. Okay, so I think that like even having meetings together, just the parent and the teacher and the kid together, and just start it with, okay, look, we all want to help you here. Let's hear from you, and let's kind of see what's going on there. I think it can be very challenging, but we do need to help that kid see that we have the same expectations. You know, I get really concerned, and I hear this so many times. I get very concerned when it's like the little kids, especially like preschool, pre-K, first grade maybe, and the parent comes to pick them up, and the first word out of their mouth is, "Were you good? Were you good today?" You know, or they want to see the behavior chart or something like that, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, like how, like that parent's nervous. You can tell the parent's nervous.
Yes.
So we don't want to put our parents into a situation where they feel like all they're hearing is just these horrible, rotten things about their kid.
Right.
Because then that spills over to how the parent is going to interact with that kid, instead of like, tell me the best thing that you did today. Who did you sit with at lunch today?
Right.
You know, that kind of thing. So I think also trying to reframe, there's got to be some positives in that kid's day. Sometimes it's hard, and I've had teachers tell me that. I'll say, well, let's just have a little report list. Let's, instead of reporting everything this kid did wrong today, how about say, today I had trouble with, today I did better with, today I did great at. And I actually have had teachers say, well, there's nothing I can put in there. I did great at. I was like, it's got to be something. There's got to be something. So I think just trying to reframe the partnership thing is important. Like one is not here to punish the other, but then the parents need to support the teachers too.
Yeah.
You know, like not make excuses for their kids either. And because if the teachers are bringing up concerns, those are valid. Those are valid concerns. So we don't blame the teacher all the time, and we don't hold our kids responsible. That's not great either.
Yeah. What I've found is the child has to believe that parent and teacher are on the same page. Because if they know that there's a separation, they instinctively know how to play one against the other. Like they just know. They don't have to be trained how to do that. They know how to push mom's button to make it be the teacher's fault.
Right.
You
exactly.
know, and even if there is disagreement, parent to teacher on the right, you know, have those discussions. Those discussions need to happen.
Right.
But have them outside of the child. But when you're in front of the child, it's like, we're on the same page. These are our expectations of you.
Right. And we can't expect a child to tell the parent what happened in class accurately.
Yeah, no, it's a very
very
tainted picture.
It's probably not going to happen for a couple reasons. Number one, they might not want to get into trouble, so then they fib a little bit, or maybe their perspective is from a child's perspective, and they really think that it went down that way. You know, so much of it is just about communication, and there's so many ways that this can go sideways. You know, he said, she said situation. So we want to try to avoid that as much as possible.
Incredible. What are like so much of what we talked about, anybody can do on their own for free, you know, without needing to go into occupational therapy. But what are some kind of signs that parents need to be looking for? Is like, okay, this may be a bigger thing that we're going to need some professional support. You know, how do you help parents navigate that versus everything that needs to be done you can do.
Right.
Because most of the parents I run into, that they go straight to the professional help. You know, like only an expert, you know, and their help will fix the situation. Yeah, and we all need help. That's not the point. But how do you navigate that threshold between like this? You're going to be okay. Yeah, we need to make some changes or tweaks, or this is this is a severe.
There's something more going on. Well, one of the first things that I look at is speech and language development, probably. And we might need to refer to a speech and language pathologist if those delays are significant. So, when we're looking at communication and how communication develops, communication develops nonverbally first, and then imitation, ba ba ba. What does this mean, up? And the parent says, oh, you want up, and then the kid eventually says up,
right.
And so we are having more and more children with speech and language communication delays coming through. And I don't really know what is going on with that. We need to talk to our children more than maybe what we're doing.
Okay.
I think sometimes, the phones are great. I mean, they've opened up this whole world, but I just see
it can't really replace.
It's just heartbreaking. You see families out, and everyone's on a device. And it can be from little to teenagers. And we're detached, and we're not talking to our kids. Like the grocery store is another example. Like this is a great opportunity to talk to our children, or when you're in the car, talk about what it is that you're seeing. So I would really encourage all new parents, especially, there's clear evidence to limit or eliminate screens.
Yes.
At least the first 2 years of life. I think a lot of new parents are making that shift.
I'm seeing that. Yep.
I'm seeing that they're making that shift. So unfortunately, because of COVID, and then also just the nature of all of this, we're seeing this impact with kids now. So if those speech and language delays are significant, they're going to need a speech and language therapist. And when I'm talking about speech and language, we're not just talking about being able to understand what the kid is saying. That's articulation. That's the speech of it. But what I am seeing is there's a lot of children that are what we call language delayed. So meaning receptive language. Am I understanding your verbal communication? So there can be some receptive language, and then there can be some expressive language delays. So if that communication piece is missing, speech and language is critical. Really critical. That's one of the first things that I look at.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay. The other thing that I look at is just from a basic standpoint is health and nutrition. So besides the screens, besides like overstimulating my child's brain, are they getting enough sleep? So you really need to take a good look at how much sleep do children need at certain ages and stages. They're not getting enough sleep.
Right.
Not nearly enough.
Which goes back to the routines.
It goes back to the routines. And then nutrition. Everything happens from the inside. So like if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and you took that, you have your basic needs, which is shelter, all that physical stuff that we talked about. You need to have your basic needs met. You need to be able to not be hungry. So nutrition, critical. Our food is pretty crummy. And again, we're looking at our routines and our structure, and we're looking at, we're so busy that we're grabbing a Lunchables.
Yeah, processed stuff.
Processed foods, and there's more and more and more stuff going on about how that's impacting brain development and behavior as well. Yep. So we really want to look at nutrition and sleep and those routines, and then the language development first. Awesome. I think that's pretty critical. And the way that we can tell is every little kid develops differently. So the question then on when do I need to take my kid to a specialist, whether it's speech, occupational therapy, behavior specialist, or maybe even a marriage and family, a kid type therapist, play therapist or something. It's in terms of that duration, intensity, and frequency thing. And how is that impacting your life? If it's happening every day, if it's happening often, if it's lasting a long time, if it's taking your family a long time to recover, if it's creating conflict between siblings, between you and your spouse, your in-laws telling you you need to just spank the kid, that kind of thing.
Right.
It's creating family conflict. Is it keeping you from going places? Is it impacting your daily life?
Mm-hmm.
If the answer to that is yes, then you're probably going to need some specialized help.
Oh, it's great because, especially nowadays, like just AI can help you with some of these, like just these basic like routines and these things that are just good for everybody. You know what I mean?
It's good for everybody. It's not just your kids. It's us. It's good for us to have those routines, and then, it's good for us. We can't help our kids be in a nice, calm state if we're not in a nice, calm state.
Right.
So it's like the airplane. They tell you, why do they tell you to put your oxygen mask on first? So, don't take your kid to the grocery store when you just had a fight with your sister on the phone.
Yeah, and you got to be out of there in 3 minutes.
And you have 3 minutes, right? Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, that's great.
Set yourself up for success.
Well, kind of wrapping this thing up, incredible insights, but is there anything that we didn't get to that, just as you've been working with parents for 27 plus years, that you just like, if every parent could understand this, is there anything left to share?
I would say to get into the habit of pausing in almost every situation, and to have an informed, planned response to your child's behavior or to the situation. So I think what happens a lot of times is we get into a reactive mode, and when we're in a reactive mode, we're not going to be very effective. Mm-hmm. So the biggest advice that I have is just take a breath. Don't feel like you have to answer everything right now. Don't feel like this might, if you slow down a second and you analyze the situation and you look at, wait, what's happening here? And you just stop and you slow yourself down a little bit, you're going to be in a better space to give your child what they need. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it might be nothing. Sometimes if you just slow down and, you tell your kid, hey, go put your shoes away. And then 10 seconds later, he's like over here doing something, and you're like, I told you to go put your shoes away. Well, and the kid was like, well, I saw this. I was going to pick this up first. And you're like, oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, makes sense.
So just slow down. Mm-hmm. Slow down. Just pause and reflect, and then respond. Mm-hmm. Don't go straight to action or reaction. I think that's really, really critical. Take a deep breath, just help yourself to help your child. And then lastly, I would say to parents is just give yourself grace. Like, we're human beings too. I'm a professional. I have my kids. Believe me, I've had some really horrible mommy moments where I did not handle things the way I should have handled them.
Trust me, been there.
At all. Mm-hmm. Do I beat myself up about that? No. I pick up the phone and I talk to my sister, and I'll say, you want to hear about this horrible mom moment I just did? Yeah. And she'll say, oh, you want to hear mine? Yeah. and then I can go to my child and I can say, you know what? Mommy was not in a good spot there. I didn't handle that. I didn't handle that correctly. I apologize. Mm-hmm. Next time, let's talk about what we can do differently as a team. Mm-hmm. But I think just give yourself some grace and forgive yourself, and just remember why you're here. You want to enjoy. We all want to just enjoy our children, and they're gorgeous, beautiful, amazing little human beings, even when they're rotten. Yeah. They are. There's so many great things. So, if you have to make a little gratitude thing, like in your home, have this gratitude jar and just somebody write down something they noticed about somebody else, and you put that in, and just really, I think, stimulate this sense of community in your home. We have, in our family, this is what we do. In our family, we don't yell. In our family, we try to do this. And just to bring your child into that community with you as the head of that community. And
Right.
so we need to remember that children imitate what they see,
Yep.
not what they hear.
Yep.
So again, it goes back to how do I want my child to be? And then we're that living, breathing, visual cue on what it is that we need. So we need to help our kids to get to that point.
No, that's amazing. And I think so much, like, I try to get especially our younger parents with the younger kids, our preschool, like, you're doing it.
Yeah.
You're doing,
They're
like,
doing so many great
they're
things.
doing so, like,
yes.
I'll see the
Yes.
mom haggard dropping her
Yes.
kid off in the morning, and I'm just like,
Yes.
incredible job
Yes.
getting your child to
Yes.
school today. Because
Yeah.
obviously you can tell that was a chore. Obviously you can tell something
Right.
happened
Right.
that could have derailed
Yes.
that success, but you
Yeah.
did it. And just giving yourself credit for
Yes. And
The-
I think it
the
is
small
hard.
victories,
Yeah,
you know.
and don't compare yourself to other
Yeah.
parents. Don't compare yourself to your mother-in-law. You know, I mean, don't take unsolicited advice. You know, I mean, have your own boundaries too. If someone's coming in and saying, "Well, in my day, we
Yeah,
did it this
yeah.
way," well, you know what? Thank you.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm doing the best I can with what I have
Right.
right now. But really, like, just focus on. There's so many. Like I was saying, there's so many right things and
Yes.
wonderful things our kids are doing, but there's so many beautiful, wonderful things our teachers are doing
Yep.
and our parents are doing, but they don't even see that. So if you're married, you know, have that accountability partner telling you, "Oh my gosh, you did so great there. Wow, babe, that was awesome." You know, we
Yep.
all need to hear that and to be encouraged.
I think that's a great place to end.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
I'm sure we'll invite you back for.
It's a pleasure.
There's probably a million different directions we can take these different concepts we were talking about. But thank you for being a resource, not just to DCA, but the entire DCA community for years and years and years. And so we
It's my
appreciate you.
pleasure.
Thanks for joining
Thank
us.
you. Yep.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you guys for
Thank you.
joining us. Yeah, stay tuned for another episode coming soon.